Go ahead and bring. Okay, first we're gonna just sign a salary rate, not a salary rate, a restrictive spending request that I didn't sign earlier, so. Sometimes paperwork goes that way. We're still in meeting session, so we're good. All right, we're good there. All right, next we have Fair Board talking about projects.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, we just came here to give you a follow-up. I think according to the statutes, I'm supposed to meet with you once a month.
Yes.
And I'm gonna try to do that, you know,
Good.
and what's a good time, but this is,
Jeff said he had a good meeting with you the other day. So.
yes, we had a very good meeting with him. It was he was very helpful and all we're doing here is telling you what's going on down there, so we're transparent and.
That's the rules.
Okay, we want to tell you the fair was a great success. We had a lot of compliments and it was a great success, and we estimate the night of the concert we had close to 5,000 people, if not more. It was a lot of happy people, you know, time to be happy in this old gloom and doom that's got us all down, and you know, it really helps. And I want to thank Jeff for coming down to our last meeting. And now I'll move on with our projects we got going on, just for your information. Okay, we've signed a sponsorship agreement with Rocky Mountain Power to put a sign on the other end of the coverall building. That being $1,200 for the first year, $1,700 for years 2 and 3, and $2,300 for years 4, 5, and 6. Payments are due October 1st of each year.
Okay. My question on that, do the commissioners need to sign that where it's binding the county?
So the commissioners can regulate the use of any property being used for the fair, would be there, but I think the fair board can also contract out, knowing that the commissioners can regulate it and have a decision on there as well.
Okay. And
I
that,
think they're fine with how they've done it.
okay. I just wanted to cover all the bases.
Well,
And
if
Jamie's
you have a
gonna
question, I could,
Jamie's
I'll
gonna get me
email
a
it to
copy
you.
of that. We need copies of those so that
Yes.
we can ensure the money comes in.
It just
but
got signed.
it says in
last night,
in the statutes, we have the power to contract and sign contracts for the fairgrounds property. So that's why we want to be transparent. We want you to know what's going on.
That's why I asked the question while everybody's here.
Okay,
We're all on the same page.
okay. And this is signed by Rocky Mountain Power's agent. And it's gonna cost them $10,000 to have the sign put up there. So it's gonna be an initial expense, and it's all income to the county, to the fair. Okay, any questions on that?
No?
How'd you come up with those numbers?
What's that?
How did you come up with those numbers?
Actually, we started at $1,000, and I told him I didn't think that was enough. And he says, well, I can't get any more because I've already been to the sponsorship committee and they've okayed the $1,000 for 5 years, or is it 6 years? But anyway, and he called me back and says, I see your concerns and I don't feel like locking us in for that $1,000. So here's what I want to do. I want to give you $1,200 the first year and take it up as we go along.
Okay.
And I brought that to the fair board and they thought that was fantastic. So that's how we came up with the numbers.
Okay.
These were,
We have a sponsor on the other side that pays $1,000 a year,
yeah.
but it doesn't face the road, so we felt that this side was worth a little bit more.
Okay.
And he was very impressed with our fair. He was down there a couple of times and he sponsored it. How much did he give $1,000 this year just for a sponsorship? Rocky Mountain Power did.
Okay.
So we feel that this is a good connection to have with this company.
So I have a quick question. So we're paying for the 10,000?
No.
They're paying for the
They're
sign.
paying everything.
Okay, thank you.
Feel better now?
Take it back.
Chairman, if I can
That'll put us
clarify
over more than our $65
I was gonna say you
overage.
made $1,500 on the deal.
Okay?
Okay, just, Brian had something.
I just want to clarify something with the Fair Board here too. So I'm looking at the powers and authorities of the Fair Board, that the Fair Board has. I just pulled it up, and it says it shall have the power to employ labor, award prizes, make exhibition contracts, fix and charge admission and entrance fees, let contracts for concessions or services to be conducted at the fair or under the direction of the county fair board. And it can fix salaries for the secretary and treasurer to prescribe the time and manner of payment. So maybe it would just be better on the record if, like, you can have negotiate to that, but also since the commission regulates it, that the commission also signs off on it.
Well, that's the building. We had to sign off on the building as a commission.
This is a sponsorship, it's not a new
Yeah,
facility.
this is
So,
a
that-
sponsorship.
That's all I'm saying is that when it is physically the part of it.
Right, to regulate the use of it
Uh-huh.
and how, and if, like, there's a sponsorship on there, but I'm just looking directly, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, you've read something else, but on the authority to contract, right? The sponsorship, it doesn't specifically mention that, so I'm saying maybe for having the commission sign off on that as well, since it's with the county, could create a clearer record.
So what about our sponsorships that we get for the fair? We had about just under $20,000 this year. Do they have to sign off on every single one of those?
That's why
Well, what are we doing up at the event center with the sponsorships we have for the various events up there? I don't believe
This is
we're
for
signing off on those as well, are we?
We have.
We have
We have?
the commission
So
sign off
anything
on
that's less
those.
than
Yes.
12 days.
Then we should be, that would be consistent
Yeah,
then.
That would be
That's what
consistent, and I think it's okay with her too, I'm just
More than 12 days.
going directly, because when I pull up the statute, it doesn't specifically say contracts for sponsorships, but I think they can still do it, because you're still managing and looking at the property, but I'm saying if the commission wanted to sign on it, they could as well. Or at least doing what you're doing, running it by them, since you are in charge of regulating the use of everything, then you could just give approval on the record too.
Well, and the only thing that I would request, and this is the same thing we do with everybody else, is that legal looks over every document that you sign.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Well, I
where the
don't-
binding parts come in.
I don't know how we can sign contracts and,
Well, our contracts have already been pre-approved by legal.
oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah. But I mean, like our,
Did you hand this to him? Take a look at that, Brian, and see what you think.
that's the same contract that we used when Farm Bureau did it.
Right.
That was approved by
Okay.
Matt.
And I'm just saying that anytime we have contracts,
Right.
they look it over.
It's not really,
I
it's
don't
a
have the-
sponsorship agreement, and
Yeah.
So,
And alls we're saying, Sheldon, is we approve a lot of the sponsorships up at the wellness complex here. And so to be consistent, we're just trying to apply the same
Okay,
standard everywhere.
we've already told this guy to go ahead.
We're not.
Because
we're not-
we was on a timetable, because he was gonna go with somebody else. So what do we have to do now?
we're gonna
I think we're
approve
going
that,
there, yeah.
Okay,
but this is where the conversations, and we're learning through the process.
And by having legal review that, it makes sure you guys can collect the monies on that. If it's not a valid contract, it wants to say that, oops, sorry,
well,
that, Rocky Mountain doesn't bail out of the contract and we have no enforceability. So we just, it's a good double check
and
to
I'm good
make
with
sure.
that, I have no
we
problem
get that money.
at all with that, I just,
Well, I'll just tell you that this last year, we signed for 2 concerts up here, and then we signed an agreement with Go Out Local, and they become our facility, the people that we went through for concerts. And they said, boy, we sure wish you would have talked to us about them concerts. You guys could have made a lot of difference. We could have made more money, you could have done something. But we weren't the experts. And so if we have experts within the county that can help us to benefit, we want everybody to benefit that way. That's the goal.
okay, so what procedure do I have to go through to get legal to approve this now?
It's done.
It's not.
It's
Right.
done?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not holding you up today. We're just
Right.
talking about going forward.
Okay.
This is what we would like to do to be
Okay.
consistent with all of the facilities that we have.
Okay, thank you.
And another reason for that, like if there's sponsorships, and I doubt we'll ever run into this, but if we agree to a sponsorship with one company, right, but they're like, we'll sponsor this for this amount of money, but we don't want sponsors
A
coming
like
from another-
company coming in.
Right, you know, that gives us something to make sure there's no conflict or anything. But-
So as we talk about building for the fair this next year, and you start looking at talent, we would ask you to use Go Out Local to help you get the best talent at the best price to go, because that's what we're using up at the wellness complex, and we've had a very good relationship with them this year. And so that's one of the things, as we're here talking about today, we'd like you to use them next
Yeah.
year as you go forward looking for your talent.
Okay.
Well, the state of Idaho passed a law last year where if a company is against Israel, you cannot have them as a sponsorship in the state of Idaho.
Really?
Yeah, it's $100,000 fine. So we
You're
have
gonna have to raise
questions
our
about Coca-Cola. Honestly, we have questions, we have a contract with Coca-Cola, and we're questioning whether we can have that contract or not now, under state statute,
Really?
state law.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Okay.
Bathroom break.
Okay, anything else on that, board members? Okay, some repair projects we've got down there. The bucking chutes were busted. They kicked them and busted the boards out of them. We've already replaced those and repaired them. Livestock corrals were somewhat bent up. We're working on replacing them. Our free stage, the floor has a white wafer board floor on it, and it has fallen apart. Somebody stepped through it during the fair. We're gonna have to recover that. And the way lumber prices are, but our budget, we've gotta get it done right away. So we're looking at
actually,
putting,
lumber prices are back down.
well, I don't know whether we can wait that long.
Well, now, they're back down.
Are they?
They're a lot better than that.
Yeah, they've come back down.
So we're looking at two situations. We're working with Saul on this and the fair board. We don't know whether to we could put marine board down, but it's awful expensive. Takes 16 sheets, and how much you say was it? Board?
150 a sheet.
$150 a sheet. So we're looking at a tongue and groove Trex type. It's quite a bit cheaper, plus we think it'll last longer. So that's what we're doing on that. And we also are looking at some software. Jamie, I'm gonna let you tell them about the software.
So, Piney got an email from a gentleman named Brian, and it's a ticketing software. It does ticketing and it does marketing kind of type thing. I talked to the fair board about it last night. We didn't do a presentation last night because we had one out with COVID and Steve had to have surgery. So we're gonna do a Zoom thing and have them look at it. But then I did let them know that I wanted Christy to look at it before we do it.
IT needs to also.
Okay, so I can set up a meeting when I can get together with them and they can look at it. It's pretty simple. It's no cost to us. There's a advertising component to it. There's a media, component to it. I only did a 20-minute Zoom call with them, so I just saw the highlights of it. It gives us the ability to go in and change our posters or change our daily. It links to all the social medias with emails. People purchase their pre-tickets prior to the event, which would be the concerts, the rodeos, the tractor pulls, the motocross. And then-
Sponsorship.
we can do all our vendors through it, so it tracks the vendors. And then they just send us a check twice a month from ourselves from it. Our vendor person can still track, so we don't end up with, 6 corn dog vendors, or, she can still track it through that. And then it actually does a printout that I can attach to the check for Christy that will code it to vendor or to, rodeo ticket sales or sponsorships, or it's actually kind of slick, but I did tell them once they look at it, if they decide to move forward, then I'll get with Christy and whoever else needs to look at it.
It simplifies the
Are we
ticket.
using
because
And
anything
it's
like
free.
that now up at the wellness complex? No?
I mean, they've got e-ticks, but
This is way
It's
slicker than
different.
e-tics. What they do is they purchase it and then they get a code on their phone. Then they'll walk up to our ticket booth, they'll show us the code, and then we have a laptop there. So if it says Jeff Huff bought 4 tickets, I can hand him 4 wristbands to go into the concert and take him right off. So if somebody else walks up with that code, say he shared it with Ernie, and Ernie walks up, shows me the same code, it won't let me give him 4 more tickets. So there's a fail-safe, so it doesn't, even if they print it out, we still check them off as they go. And then we still have the ability to give them wristbands so they can come and go, where we don't have bathroom facilities and vendors inside the venues. We have to have some so they can come and go.
Would you involve Scott?
Yes.
He's not here. I was just pointing to where the wellness complex is.
I will, yeah.
Would you involve him in
Because it
that?
would work
Because
really well for him too, for the events that they have up there.
Can I tell
It's
you what-
really pretty slick. You can put, like, Monday night you have horse pulls, Tuesday
would-
night you have motocross, Wednesday, and they can go in and purchase. And it will help if we have, bad weather,
Mhm.
because, if we pre-sell 1,000 rodeo tickets and there's a big storm, 200 people might show up.
Right.
But if we have pre-sales, then we've already collected. And it's
And
zero
it
cost to us.
simplifies it, and it's no expense to us,
And
and
it's not
it's-
holding on to that
and we've
money.
got a paper trail of they call in, they buy their concert tickets or rodeo tickets online, it gives them a barcode, and they can use that to get in. And it simplifies us having to deal with cash and,
Love it.
Yeah, we figured that we probably brought in, $30,000-$40,000 in cash over a rodeo week. And it was a lot, and I mean, I had, Dana Evans walking across the field with me and putting it in a locked bag and meeting Christy on the weekend, and this will eliminate a lot of that cash. I
better
had
controls.
people looking for, change every half hour, because we kept running out of change, so this should help a lot.
And I would encourage you to involve Adam too. Any computer program, any programming, Adam's your guy. I mean, he's our IT specialist, and
It's really slick. You click on it, and if you want a rodeo ticket, it'll put it onto social media or the website, wherever you click on this link, and it brings it right up and you purchase your tickets.
and the
And
next
there's no
year,
cost.
it automatically sends these people information that have bought a ticket before, so it's
all
advertising.
software in the county, we like Adam to take a look at.
Great.
I mean, that's,
I knew there were some more steps. I was going to start with Christy to make sure that
This
the
is
money
just
made sense.
kind of
Yeah.
in the planning stages, but I like it, and the Fair Board unanimously liked it, but I want to have it in front of all of them before we,
Yeah, just if you would involve Scott, so that
Yeah.
if it's something that we can all use, that would be great.
It's a pretty slick program. I
Okay.
think you'll like it.
okay.
okay, we've caught flack from 2 people about locking up our arenas down there.
They were just the spokespeople too, so they kind of represent a large group.
Well, we don't know who they represent though.
I talked to Jeff about it already.
I was gonna ask you if it didn't come up, so
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So I told them, well, we were instructed to lock the arenas up and charge for them, like we have liability, we have maintenance on them, we have work them. And she said, well, nobody else locks their arena up. They have free access at the one in Pocatello, and I didn't think they did.
They do not.
See, I didn't think they did either.
No, they do not.
The
That's all
outdoor
that we
arena,
used
they,
to,
they,
but it
free
started.
access, they can use it anytime they want. And I says, I don't think so. McCammon lets them, you're just running everybody out of Downey by locking them up. I says, we're not locking them up. We're letting you buy a fee to use them, and we got you covered liability-wise. That didn't go over, so I told her,
Well, the only ones that can waive a fee is right here.
yeah.
So if they have problems, tell them to come talk to us.
Well, she said that she called up here, and they told her to talk to me. And that's probably the way it should have went, right?
Well, if they're wanting a waived fee, that's one thing. If they want to complain, they can talk to you.
That's kind of what I figured I was.
Well, and she even made the comment that she had called, waited online for 45 minutes to talk to somebody, and then another hour and a half to talk to somebody, and then somebody got on and gave her the message that they were told that they just had to come to us because we were the ones who were insistent on making the charge to charging.
Well, I would wonder who they talk to, honestly. I wonder if they talk to the event center and not our office.
I don't know.
People need to call our office if to talk to the commissioners. If people are assuming
Well,
that
I'm
they
sure
can
you're
just.
gonna get a call from her, she's gonna get on your agenda, but I says, we cannot take the fees off and unlock them right now. I said, we will take this into consideration.
Next
And that's
next
what we're
week,
doing
next
right
week,
now, is taking it into consideration, and
it's on our agenda next Tuesday to talk about fees. So, but
So on our
we
fee
have to set
schedule,
them.
we don't have a fee for outdoor arenas, we just locked them right now. But we left the practice arena open and the main arena closed. Liability wise, to me, they're the same,
They are the same.
so they should all be locked. And if they wanna ride, they need to buy an indoor arena pass,
That's correct.
cause we don't have a fee
So
schedule
if
for
you
outdoor
don't, if you don't
arenas.
have that on your fee schedule, we need to get that, so when you come with us to talk
Okay.
about that, that needs to be on there. Keep it
Cause
simple.
we kept the fee schedule for our indoor arena the same as the event center. Is he gonna add a fee for the outdoor arenas, do you guys know? Cause I can update it to match accordingly.
Honestly, I haven't looked at it yet.
I can get with Scott
but
next.
she told us that the outdoor arena in Pocatello Event Center was free.
It used to be, but then we locked it when I was mandatory.
I can't answer that.
Well, okay, so you know where we're coming from, because we're not gonna just open it up because somebody complains,
No, we agree with that 100%.
okay?
If we were to put in hang up signs that say, right at your own risk, does that, if somebody does to break
I
in
don't
or
think it's
get
worth the
in there?
paper it's written on.
No, that'd be a discussion about whether they sign forms or whatever. It's a bigger discussion than just somebody's unhappy.
Yeah,
She says, well, no, but, says as far as the liability goes, what if somebody gets hurt during the fair and everything, they're during a fair event, they're covered by ICRIM. It's a fair sponsored event. So I don't think she bought that either, but I don't know.
Well, send them my way.
We came a long way with that fairgrounds. Saul's done a tremendous job, and we've had a lot of compliments on it. We had a good fair. We're gonna have a better one next year. So that's where we're at with that. Is that all I got? Okay, do you have any questions for us?
I received an individual's name I'm gonna approach about your other fair board member. If anybody has somebody up on this end of the county, I'd like names, but we're moving forward trying to fill that position too.
Good, we need another board member. And
we didn't know
I
if we
got-
were gonna have a quorum yesterday, but we got.
Yeah, we had
got mine off the
one out with
tractor.
COVID.
We had one.
Can I send those names right to you?
What's that?
Can I send those names right to you?
Yes.
Where I worked out in Coyote, I have a lot of really good people I think would be outstanding.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good. We'll get a hold of them. Have them fill out an application, go from there.
Okay,
Thank you.
I sent you the fees that are published for next week.
Oh, perfect.
The fairgrounds does have some arenas, or.
They added some?
Yeah.
Okay, cause I will do our fee schedule to update it.
It says
And it needs to be in
indoor
by
and
when?
then just arenas, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, if you wanna change from that, then we'll have to.
Well, dry
Go
camping,
through the process, but.
Another thing that we need to, when we originally put the fees on our bleachers, we have a large bleacher and a small bleacher, we put them dated rates the same, I don't know why, because we
yeah,
did.
we gotta
So
change
we need to,
that.
there are a few things that we need to fix on our
Yeah.
fee schedule.
Oh, and by the way, that's another thing I got, we've now leased to Fort Hall for 2 bleachers for one event. We've leased to Marsh Valley High School for the football season. We've leased one to Spud Days in Shelley for this weekend. So the bleachers, there's really a demand for them, but
oh,
Birmingham.
we had the same problem. That's why we bought them, right?
yeah, yeah.
We
And,
are, we do wanna thank Tyson though, he's been getting the truck for us, cause we had to use a 1 ton
So
to pull.
the
to stop
contracts
it.
for that, is it a standard contract that you've looked over?
We're just using the, our event contract on there. I can send it over to you, and you
Yeah,
can
if you
take a
want.
look at it to
Yeah.
make sure it's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
The other deal, like I was saying, up there at the event center, they're gonna start charging for dry camping areas. I know during the fair, everybody comes in and camps for free. It's something that you're paying the power for and everything else. It's something to have a discussion about.
We've had some, so we've had a few discussions about that.
But we provide electricity and water around the fairgrounds for free, so it's really not dry camping. So we could probably charge a higher fee.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I know around the
Around the
fairgrounds,
baseball diamond area.
we're giving away water and
Yeah.
electricity that, so.
yeah.
It cost the fair board, it cost the fair to take care of that stuff.
So it's probably something we should
Well-
have fees too.
It's just a true fact that it's been this way for 100 years, since the fair started in Downey. I don't think they've ever made a profit yet, and I don't think they ever will. It's just something that's done, and I don't know what else to do about it. You can't make money off a fair.
Well,
You can help,
I go up to that fair board up at Blackfoot, and they make a lot of money. I'm just telling you, they make a lot of money. So what we've done for 100 years can't be the same process that we keep following.
We did really well this year, I think, compared to past.
I think we did, we done,
And that's what we gotta continue to grow on. The process of everything for nothing just doesn't happen anymore.
we don't have that perspective is everything for nothing, but there's some things that we can't charge for, you know.
And I agree. We don't charge for entry, but there's a lot of activities that we could charge. And if we're gonna end up with a conversation on the concert, and it's gonna be a topic that you're gonna end up needing to charge for. You're gonna end up needing to get some money out of that.
Well, and we're working that way to doing that.
So when Jeff came down, we put together a good and a bad and what we needed to improve on next year. And we
Mhm.
actually had a rendering of how we could put a fence up around, he has a copy of it. So we are working towards that.
But up until now, we just had no way of sealing that off, and I was concerned about it being somebody else's property, you know. But I don't think we'd have a problem with putting a fence around
We
it.
use it anyway.
Yeah.
If you're using that for somebody else's property anyway,
Yeah,
so what's the
I agree.
difference?
Yeah,
So,
but, especially if we go with this new ticketing program, we can keep track of a lot of money that'll be there, you know. This selling tickets and everything and having high schools do it is not working.
no.
So there's something that's been done for 100 years and you're changing it. Good job.
Well, we're trying a little bit at a time, but you gotta be real careful about how fast you change that.
Amen
Like
to
locking
that.
the fairgrounds up.
Amen to that, but you're just saying, you're
I
changing
said-
stuff
I
that's
told
been
her,
done for a
We're
long
not locking
time.
it up. You can buy a fee, pay a fee. Well, we don't have to pay a fee in Pocatello. We don't have to pay a fee in McCammon.
That's McCammon,
Yeah, that's not a county property either.
correct.
No, and the county used to send a water truck down there and used to do a bunch of stuff down at McCammon. We don't do anymore.
Yeah.
We don't participate in a lot of things that used to happen.
And out in the open, I'd like to ask Road and Bridge to keep an eye open for a used water truck for us. For
And a 1 ton
Downey.
pickup.
That's one of our big holdups. We gotta have a water truck because we can't, you just can't run events in there without a water truck.
True.
And we're imposing off the road and bridge down there and the city to keep it watered, which is not right, but they,
Oh, I don't know. I think it's pretty justified to say we bring a lot of people to the community.
yeah.
And
And I
it's
said
time
that's why they
to
don't- I-
spend a little money
Yeah.
to participate.
Help us out.
Okay, anything else?
All right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for all you do. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Ryan, you next. Who's talking about COVID?
Oh, yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. Was it me that put that on the agenda? Was it you?
All I have is discussion pertaining to COVID and OSHA enforcement.
That was because of President Biden's mandate with all employers over 100 to mandate vaccinations.
President who?
President Biden.
I haven't heard him, so.
Yeah. So
I'm not
our,
sure.
our thought, I think, with putting this on is just to go on record and say that at this point in time, without further legal review, I don't know if we're going to necessarily comply with that mandate.
And if I might speak on that, I don't know if that's, because he wants to go through OSHA to do that. I don't even know if they've issued the emergency order yet, but there would even be a question of if that even covers local government workers in the state. But that's, a lot of questions are out there to cover it, but
Well,
we're worried.
if we cannot discriminate, that's a form of discrimination, in my opinion.
So at this point in time, we are taking a wait and see approach to what comes down from above. Okay?
Yep.
Okay.
And even if it would even apply to us. I don't think it will.
All right, we're all on the same page there.
Yep.
Shanda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Purchasing and Economic Analyst.
I'm the IT director.
So let's go ahead and start with Spyglass. So we had a couple years ago Spyglass come in and do a massive telecom audit for us, right? They looked at all kinds of landlines and internet connections and cell phones and was looking for things that weren't being utilized to their full capacity. The first year we did it, we found a lot of things that we adjusted and changed, and everything from our listings in the business pages to landlines and cell phones and all kinds of things. So we wanted to do another one just to take a look, right? Did we change the right things? Are there still stuff out there that we could adjust to have further savings, things like that? So at Commissioner Huff's request, right, we go out for another audit. That did come back with a couple different lines. Excuse me, there were 5 landlines that they felt were underutilized. As IT looked and reviewed, there are some that are for a reason and a purpose, right, connected to things that we are going to choose to keep. But there are a couple that we've decided we would like to recommend to the board that we cancel 2 of those lines that have been found. And then they went on to look at the cell phones. There were a lot more that came up as underutilized, is what Spyglass would call that. And that is phones that are receiving less than 10 texts, less than 10 minutes of phone calls, and there's some that were read that weren't being utilized at all. So we reached out to those departments and asked, right, the purpose of it, how they were changing things up, if there was something that we could do to save them money, or if they had a purpose and a reason. And we, through those discussions, we have found 1 iPad that we would like to cancel. They did find 1 cell phone, but we believe that one's already been turned off in between when they ran their audit and now. But we're going to double check on that to make sure that that cell phone has been turned off, as well as 1 iPad. There were 3 data devices that had hotspots on them that they also considered to be underutilized. But in talking with all of those departments, they were needed for a very specific purpose, and that they were willing to cover that those were good costs to incur.
And that's the case with those couple of landlines that we want to keep too. They have very low usage, but their specific purpose for outside agencies to be able to support stuff inside the county.
So we did feel it was a wonderful opportunity to have those discussions with those departments, right, and just to check to see, right, if we were on course. But we would like to recommend to the commissioners that we go ahead and cancel 2 of those landlines that have been identified, and the 1 iPad and the 1 cell phone that the department had agreed upon.
Good.
I'm good with that. If I
Yeah.
checked with everybody and we're good.
Yeah, we did, and we realized between the first audit and the second, we really did pare it down pretty well, because this one they came back and they just did not have a glut of you know, you're not using these and these and these. We were down to, you know, 5 or 6 is all that we had, and as we looked at those 5 or 6, we were able to find 3 or 4 that we can get rid of. One I believe we've already gotten rid of. It was the previous director's cell phone. We've already turned that off, I think. But then is the iPad is a departmental thing that we just don't use, and then a couple of landlines that are just dead ending. So, yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to authorize that?
Let's do.
Okay.
so it's on the record.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we authorize, would be IT to turn those off?
Purchasing, I think.
IT/purchasing.
So, Spyglass actually turns them
They'll-
off, and there
they'll do
will
it
be a
for us.
cost, associated with that.
Okay.
And the cost is by what they shut off, right?
Yes, yeah, not by what they found, but what we agree to them to turn on.
rid of.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we authorize Spyglass to turn off the lines as identified by purchasing and IT, and authorize payment based on the contract of the savings, correct? Okay.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
And that invoice will be brought back before the board as well. So
Okay.
you'll see that too.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
So the other item I have before the board today, excuse me, is the health fair. We are very well aware, right, that every day, every week, something could adjust and change. But we would like to plan for the best and know that those can be adjusted, right, at any point in time. So we would like to present our plan for the health fair for this year in October. So we have decided to start that week. PMC has agreed to deliver their mammography bus here again. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday will be available for our anybody that is covered under our health plan. And that includes retirees that are still on our program, as well as anybody paying for COBRA rates, things like that. So we'll reach out to those people as well. But this has been a wonderful opportunity and very well used. A couple years ago, we needed to add another date to our repertoire because we had such well attended. So we've been really impressed. We've been thrilled with PMC and their availability and being able to work with us. So we'll start that health week off with the bus being here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Our health fair we have planned for the day of Wednesday, so it'll be going on concurrent. Some of the staples that we always have as part of that is blood work with PMC. They've agreed to be here that day. That is one of our requests that we have before the board today, is that in past years, the commission has agreed to pay for a combination of the coronary risk profile, the chemistry profile, the CBC, and the TSH tests. So those are, as the PMC describes to me, a wonderful array of preventative screening and early detection type of tests. As they bring those results back into their physician, simply pulling the blood work, right, doesn't tell you a whole lot. You do need to follow up with a physician, but as you do so, right, they have that history from one year to the next and can see potential problems that they can kind of steer off well ahead of time before you need medication or surgeries, things like that. So that is why those tests we have would like to ask the commission, as in years past, to cover. Last year we had 115 participants, and it cost just under $5,000 for those. As always, we would like to encourage more participation, so we would ask that the commission approve the test dollar amounts and the test to cover, and then in hopes that we have a lot more participation, and it could be more than it was last year.
And you've identified funds?
So these ones are paid out of the health insurance trust in the past.
Okay, okay. I still think it's a good process, the health.
And anymore, it's cheaper to retain an employee than to go find a new one. So if we know our employees are healthy, that's a step in that right direction.
And it has been great. So 2 years ago, right, we made that switch where PMC bills directly to GenPlan, and we got wonderful feedback from employees saying that was just so much easier than paying the $43 myself and waiting for reimbursement. It was just a lot cleaner for a lot of people. So.
Okay. Any concerns?
We've done it for years.
Okay.
Okay.
Follow the same procedure.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll put that in place then. The next is then another staple is we offer the flu shots. We would like to do those, and PMC has agreed to do them the same day on October 20th. We have also in the past done various locations. It's often difficult for jail detention deputies to take off and come and do that, and so we would like to offer them there, as well as up as the landfill. We're just waiting to hear back from PMC on a couple dates and hopefully be able to work that out with those individual departments as well. But they are committed to the 20th for sure, so they'll at least be available for our health fair and the bulk of the employees that come to that.
And all this stuff is available to employees and
Anybody covered under your health plan.
under, okay.
Mhm. The flu shots are a little different in age. I guess there's a different mix for children. So they do say that they want 16 and older, and 16 to 18 does have to have a parental with them when they do it. But like my babies are too tiny, and I'll take them somewhere else to do it. But those will be offered, and as usual, I have reached out but haven't heard back. We thought about having the COVID vaccine available as well during that time for anybody that wanted to utilize those. We just haven't heard back from PMC whether or not if they're willing or able to offer those to our employees as well.
And you could contact the health department on that one.
Oh, right. Okay, so if they say they are unable, right?
Yeah, I mean, the health department still has locations that they do it.
Perfect. Okay, so then one way or another, right, then the plan will be to offer those COVID vaccines for anybody who would like to as well. Okay.
Commissioner Moser, are you gonna mandate everybody get a flu vaccine this year?
Same as we did last year.
Okay. So that would be a no?
That would be definitely a no.
Just want to be clear. Sorry.
And even if Christie
I
won't
couldn't
be able to eat
resist
in the
that
same
one.
restaurant with her husband on vacation.
I just couldn't resist.
No, I'm not. Mask or vaccine requiring individual.
Perfect. Though we do have, so now that Commissioner Huff brought it up, we are planning to utilize both gyms this year to space out a little more, as well as having hand sanitizing stations available. So those that want to, masks would not be turned down, obviously, right? Anybody who wanted to would be more than welcome to wear a mask. We'll have the hand sanitizing stations and then more space in between our vendors. We are hoping to get as many as we had in 2019 or more, but again, right, depending on each vendor, if they're willing to allow their employees to come, right, we're just going to adjust as we need to. But we're hoping to open it up and it wider to get some more businesses that are down south that would help some of our employees down there, anybody that services that area to be able to attend, and just have a wider variety. But we'll see who is willing to attend with us. We would like to ask, right, as in years past, we have offered snacks there, different granola bars or protein things, fruits, things like that. Prior years that we had about $350, so I would ask for roughly like $400 this year. I'm just not quite knowing the difference between 2019 and this year.
And that comes out of Tubby's travel expenses?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's fully.
Yeah.
That is unless Commissioner.
I'm sure he would approve that.
That is unless Commissioner Moser uses Tubby's travel expenses.
Another thing we would like to add into this year, this would be new, to help encourage participation. Sorry, let me back up. In the past, right, we have asked all the vendors that participate to donate items to us, so then all of our employees that come in get put into a raffle, and they had wonderful prizes last year. We had everything from a full gym year membership to a pair of socks, right, and everything in between. And that was super fun for our employees. No cost to the county, right, as the vendor comes in, they bring them in and we draw out of a hat, and it was super fun for employees to do. For a little more, we would like them to talk a little more to our vendors and get a little more education. So in hoping to encourage that, we want to do a scavenger card. So that being that we would have potentially like a gem plan on there. We would like you to touch base with our medical providers, right, and just see what they have. And then potentially other places, 4 other places, 6 other places, something like that, right? They get a stamp, they get an initial on a card, and they get put in for something additional. We were talking about potentially like $2 off of a food truck or something, or a bigger raffle item. that we could put in towards, to just encourage them to go in. I did have wonderful feedback on some of the ones from 2019 that went and actually visited and got additional information that they didn't even know was out there. So in hoping to get more employees to attend or to have education, we thought we would give this a try and see how it went.
Do vendors utilize your information and contact you? Does that open you up for solicitations? Like, because I know if you fill out stuff with banks, they'll start harassing you.
Oh, right.
So that might be the only negative of that, unless you only did, you know, I don't know, just a thought, because that's why, that's why I never do their stuff, is
Right.
because then they start soliciting and then you can't get rid of them.
So unless they wanted to, right, employees wouldn't give the vendors their information. They would have the vendor sign their scavenger card, and they would turn that scavenger card into us. Once it was full, right, they're either in the raffle for another prize, or they get a $2 off of a food truck or something. But that is something we have had employees say that they felt, a vendor in particular that we won't invite back this year, was too pushy. And so when we got enough feedback from that, we're just gonna say no thank you. So we are hoping to be very sensitive. If you want the vendor to have your information right, feel free, right, set up that appointment, something like that. But we don't want to require that exchange for sure.
Yeah, it's the fishbowl on their table that they want you to put your business card
Yeah,
in.
right.
Yeah.
That's where they keep calling you back.
Yeah.
The other
So
part,
the idea for this is just to get our employees more involved with the whole health fair, and I was thinking it'd just be fun to find some fun questions that have to do with the different vendors, like, you know, eye health or dental health or whatever, and they find the answer to the question. And then at the end, if they get a full card, that we thought it would be fun to have food trucks this year. So 2 or 3 different food trucks, possibly in the parking lot at the church. I have sent the Bannock County Employee Association food vendor agreement that you guys approved earlier this year or last year to legal, just to ask them if it was all right, if we just changed the wording on that for the health fair. How do you guys feel about having food trucks available
I would question about the church allowing it
in their parking
on
lot?
on their property.
Okay.
It would be my question. I mean, they could come over here and we could approve it in our parking lot, but I would
Okay.
question vendors in the church
Okay,
parking lot.
okay.
It's one of the questions I'd have. The other part, I hate them things. Your idea of fun is different than my idea.
I know, but okay, well, so we can agree to disagree, but I think a lot of people, you know, enjoy getting out and getting over to the food trucks. They were pretty
No, I
popular
enjoy the food truck.
last
It's
year.
going and getting somebody to stamp
Oh,
something, just because I walk by and I'm not really interested in what you're doing anyway. But
Yeah.
here, stamp this so that I can get $2 off
I
my
understand.
ticket.
I get you.
I think that's the difference of introverts versus extroverts, because I'm right there with you.
Christy would pay the extra $2.
Yes, I would.
Fair enough.
Well, and it may not go off that great, but maybe it just be something fun to
But
do.
I have no problem with it. People want to participate in something of that nature. I'm
I'm good.
leaving that up to you, how to get it to be effective, and
So
we
then
have a
the-
choice.
Yes, we do.
The real question is, would you be willing to cover the $2 off of the, you know, each scavenger, each full scavenger hunt card? Are you willing to cover that out of?
Can that come out of the health trust stuff like we're doing for the shots and stuff?
No, it'd probably have to
It'll-
come out of
it'll
the county operations.
It'll be just
wellness
like the
line.
food stuff.
Right.
The
It'll-
wellness
snacks.
It'll come out of Tubby's budget.
Hey,
He's not here.
if it'll come out of Tubby's, I'm all for it.
And we did really like the 2 things that introverts get into a raffle simply for coming, right? And then the additional, if you wanted to, right, then there's the other one. So, right, and they did have wonderful prizes in the other one too. So.
Okay, I'm good.
All right.
Okay, if that,
And then,
right, so then, in 2019 also, we had our first family movie night, that was wonderfully attended, and we got great reviews back from, and we would ask that we do that again this year. We have a tentative date set, for Saturday, November the 13th. We would advertise
date?
it. Oh, sorry,
December the,
November.
November.
November the 13th. We felt before the holidays got busy and crazy might be best. But we would rent out the theater, and then towards the end of October, they would list the movies that we could pick from. And generally, last year we did one, not live action.
Animation
Yeah.
and one, so like one super kid friendly movie and one that's family friendly.
I 100% for it.
And we'll have little flyers, just like little postcard sized flyers for the health fair to invite people to family movie day. It just won't have the movie names on them yet because we won't know that at that point.
Anything that we can do to promote for our employees, I like.
Okay.
And that was very inexpensive for what was available.
It was super fun, and I think as 2020 put a glitch in things, but right, as we continue to do this annually, right, then families will be ready and prepared, and I think it'll be fun.
Good.
You know, we can always do that up at the event center. We have the ability to.
Might be chilly that time of year.
So we do want to
It
put
was
together,
cold during Halloween last year.
Right.
right? So not at this time. We do want to put together a barbecue and a fun summer thing, utilizing that space up there. And
We had a bunch of food we was gonna do that with, and we ended up selling the food instead.
Worked out well.
yeah.
Yeah. We opened that trailer up and went and looked at it, was go out local. I said, "Ew." That's why Scott had to order more food. We actually used the other stuff. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Sounds great. Tyson?
Morning, Commissioners. Tyson, Bannock County Public Works. Just seeking approval to dispose of some equipment. We got our new trucks, pickups, and so we're wanting to rotate some of these old ones to auction.
And these will go through
Prime time.
prime time?
Yep. And the other, what part of this is want to get approval to get the contract on for Tuesday with the resolution. So it'll be the same day because you don't have a meeting the 28th.
But this discussion is the pre-meeting so that we're not talking about it and approving it on the same day that the resolution comes before us.
Okay.
The contract's fine, but not the first time we talk about it.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's what I have. There should be an attached list of, there'll be 2 trucks and an old screen plant that will come from the landfill, and then everything else is road and bridge.
When's the auction?
It'll be the second Saturday of October.
Okay, just make sure you get with Katie on the titles.
I already got with her.
Okay, and then we'll bring the titles to you the meeting before. The
Yeah, so we'll get on the agenda that, does that need to be a Tuesday or Thursday? Title?
Probably.
Does it matter? Is that
It doesn't matter
posted?
either one, whichever is
As long
convenient.
as we give notice to post it.
So I usually get on the Thursday before that Saturday, and I pick them up after that afternoon and drop them off to prime time.
Okay.
that
Will
day.
you communicate either with Katie or Christy Davenport that it needs to be posted?
So yes,
Okay.
then we'll make the motion and stuff when they sign the resolution.
Okay.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyson.
Quick and easy. Quick and easy.
No, I figured I'd mind it easy.
All right, you got 3 minutes. Kyle? Have another appointment at 11:30.
We thought that we'd be the long-winded, but apparently not for today.
All Daryl wants is just to open up the checkbook, so.
Yeah.
So Kyle Burmester, Bannock County Public Works Director. I'm here with Daryl Stordahl, Vice President at CDM Smith, for an update on landfill, the landfill itself and groundwater remediation. For a little bit on the update of what's going on with landfill, we have been in contact with Bingham County. They would like to come to Bannock County with their waste. I told them time is of the essence with we have no agreement with you, and they asked, well, aren't you gonna give us one? And I said, well, you're the ones kinda asking
Yeah.
to come here, but I will help in any way I can. Legal, I've sent some stuff to legal that we can look at our end to write it up if we're gonna be doing it.
Well, it's a contract that they're asking us. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't see
so-
that we
Well,
initiate the
I
contract.
would almost disagree with that if we can get Brian to write up an agreement that works for us with the terms, then we've already blessed it and we're good to go.
Well,
So it would
yeah.
speed up the process rather than having them write it and come back to us. and
That's
do
what
all
I'm
that.
worried about, is the timing, is they'll send us something that we're not quite happy with, and then,
Well, I agree, it'll speed up time, but I don't agree that that's our responsibility to write a contract for somebody else to work with us.
But in the direction that we want to go with centralized purchasing and stuff, we'd like to have a series of contracts that are already approved that allow us to move quicker through things so that we can send out, we want to work with you, here's our contract, if you have any issues, great. But again, it just helps speed things up.
Yeah.
And then it saves legal a little bit of time because you're not reviewing multiple contracts throughout the year. You just, maybe we cut the review number from 100 to 20.
But we don't do that with bids. Well, I mean, we don't.
Well, it goes back to Sheldon. Maybe historically we haven't, but maybe we're going to change it going forward.
100 years.
I think it's their attorney's responsibility if they want to work with us.
Yeah, so on this one, we are kinda
Spend
helping
the
out.
time.
So we have that going on. We are in full go with, production on the landfill expansion for Cell 4. It's ramping up kind of slowly, slower than what we had anticipated. We had more funding in, this year's budget than we didn't get to utilize. So we might have to look at that later in next year to make sure we have enough funding or whatever. But we're trying to get it going as fast as we can to make up, and we'll be pretty close on that. And to be able to look at what liner we can find, hopefully too, for that. But then, working with CDM Smith, we've had a lot of things going on. We've got a lot of things done this year. We're still doing a lot of data kind of things to where we're almost getting to the stuff that I think's fun. That's the implementation of some of the stuff we've been compiling. So I asked Daryl to come today to talk with you a little bit on what we've got going. So Daryl.
Thank you. Commissioner Mosier, Commissioner Huff. I'll get to the punchline first, and then we can work backwards if we're out of time. If I have 30 seconds, I'll give you that part first. As Kyle mentioned, well, first of all, I apologize, Dr. Tamsin McBeth's not here today. She was going to be here, but she couldn't make the morning meeting, so you stuck with me instead. So otherwise, she'd have a 40-minute presentation for you. As you know, we've been doing this for about 3 years now, evaluating the site, and as Kyle said, I think we're starting to turn the corner on this project with Idaho DEQ. You know, they're happy if we study this for another couple of years and keep getting more data and more input. And the next big thing on your consent order is to turn in a site characterization report, where you just take all the data, evaluate it, and then they have to bless that report before they let us move on to remediation. So we've already started, as we speak, we're drafting up a preliminary draft site characterization reports. We're taking all the historic data, all the stuff we've done the last 3 years. We're developing you've seen, probably some of you have seen our computerized 3D model that we have of the contamination. And so we're bundling all that together right now and going to get that to Kyle for review, with the goal of, in this next fiscal year, we're proposing to get that off to Idaho DEQ. At the last quarterly meeting, they were receptive to receiving that, which I thought was a real positive sign. And so we're going to dump that big report on their desk, probably give them 3 to 6 months, I'm sure, for them to digest it and have comment on it. But that's the next step to getting them to start thinking more towards remediation. And But the other success I think we've had with them is we did pitch the idea at the last quarterly meeting with them that we want to do some pilot testing we're proposing for this next fiscal year, where we've taken our computer model, we've kind of went to our toolbox of remedial alternatives that you can, address the contamination at the site. And we've used that model to say, okay, which of these alternatives seems like it would capture that contamination and treat it before it leaves the site. And so by doing that, we were able to eliminate some that we might have used because the contamination is too deep for trenching, for instance. We've eliminated some on technical merits, and then we went through a cost estimating, conceptual level cost estimating. So we have a construction division, so we actually do actual construction cost estimates. So we put some cost to about 3 of the alternatives. So then that kind of guides you, based on cost, which ones you might want to screen out because they're too expensive. So we kind of come down to 2 alternatives that we want to pilot test. One of them would be to keep your pump and treat system as you have now, but expand on it. Because right now you're only capturing part of the flow that's coming down the neck of that canyon. So we want to experiment with, because the geology is so complex, and some of it is very impermeable, some of it's very permeable right through the mouth of that canyon. You could put a hole in one spot and not get any water and go 50 feet away and hit water. So that's why the current system's not very effective. What we want to do, kind of like the oil industry does, we've done other projects, we want to go in and hydraulically fracture. So we put in a new boring, 110-foot boring, deep boring, and then we go down and actually frack it between like 60 and 100 feet and add pressure, and we inject a slurry and sand at 150 to 300 psi pressure. Basically fracture the existing cracks, the fractures that are there, open them up, and the sand pebbles actually then kind of keep those fractures open so you can get flow back through the formation. So we want to test that with what we're calling a hydraulically fractured extraction well. But then we also want to look at another alternative where we can maybe get rid of the pump and treat system and just do biological treatment. So we want to go and do the same thing. We'll drill a borehole, we'll hydraulically fracture it, but this time we'll inject basically it's emulsified vegetable oil. We're adding a carbon source for the bugs basically that exist to help them break down contaminants. We'll add some additional bacteria that are designed to break down this type of contamination. And anyway, so we'll inject that into the formation and try to get biological treatment. And if that's successful, then that's a way that you can then eventually not have pump and treat forever. You can just dose it and then 5 years later come back and give it another dose. And it's pretty low maintenance. Drawback is where it's really transmissively, your aquifer is going pretty fast. You don't get good distribution, it goes too fast, and you got to put a lot of wells in, so the capital costs may be higher. So those are the 2 alternatives we really want to get out and test. So we're selling DEQ that's saying, look, it's characterization, we're still going to get some more good data, but at the same time, we're trying to move ahead. So no matter which one of those 2 we may pick, you've got one of your wells already in the ground. So in a sense, we're already doing remediation. The approach I see also works for your budgeting, where instead of we saying, hey, you might need, I don't want to throw out the numbers, X million dollars down the road to do this cleanup at one time. This is an approach where you could spend, a couple $1 million a year over a few years or whatever, it takes, and add a couple of wells this year, evaluate them, add a couple more a year. So it can fit into the kind of a phased approach with the budget rather than making you say, hey, we need a big chunk of money right up front. So. A couple quick other things. Low-hanging fruit that we're looking at is, this is all about how much groundwater is getting through that cell line contamination, and every gallon of water that we can prevent from going into that cap or into that cell is one less gallon we have to extract on the other end or treat on the other end. So there's a couple of low-hanging fruits. We've been evaluating the cap itself, how much infiltration is coming through that cap, and we're seeing some areas where we could go in there and add a little more, a couple feet of fill or whatever, do some grading. Maybe pull some Russian olives out that are conduits, things like that we can do a quick design that Kyle can have on the shelf when his crew has availability. They can go and add some more cover on that, fill on that cover, and potentially eliminate some water coming through there. Conversely, we have a creek going right through there, Fort Hall Creek going right through the adjacent to the waste, and which is actually adding groundwater that's going through contaminated material out the other end. So we're looking at another pretty simple design to go upstream and intersect the spring, put that water in a pipe around the landfill, and then discharge it below the landfill. So that might be another 20, 30 gallons a minute that we can get out of the system, that we don't have to then try to pick up with a pump or treat down the road. So we're gonna, there again, put that design kind of on, for Kyle on the shelf. If he has staff, you can decide if he has staff to do that or contract that out or whatever. But, so we're trying to really, I think, get some boots on the ground this next fiscal year and start heading you down the path of cleanup.
Very good. Very good. I like it, I like where we're at.
I liked all of it except the money talk.
Well, I told you, that's what he's here for. I like teasing you, Darryl.
He didn't throw out the big numbers, he did.
Yeah,
I noticed how he sidestepped that.
Well,
I'll do that next week.
Yeah. Well, the cost estimate, I hate to throw out a number, we did put numbers to it, but you have to realize it's conceptual level, so there's very, very little engineering, 10% engineering in these evaluations. And then we put a cost to it. I mean, they're accurate costs, but we have to put a minus 30% to a plus 50. So, I mean, I will tell you the number that we, for those three alternatives, I mean, the numbers were on the low end, 4 million, the high end, 14 million, So that $14 million option is the one with involved trenching that we'll likely not propose, and so, you're in that $4 to $10 million range, but, like I said,
That's a nice tight range.
yeah,
I love Christie's little smirk.
like I said, I have to be careful in throwing those numbers out.
Yeah, Christie will throw you out.
Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, groundwater remediation is expensive.
So yeah, like Darryl said, we're trying to implement what we can as projects to spread things out and do what we can budgetarily, because that's what we've kind of put, or I put the DEQ is, that's nice to do all this stuff, but as a county, we have a budget we work under, so.
Exactly. Well, we appreciate your work up there, honestly.
We do, thank you.
Yeah, they've been doing very well, and we have a real good relationship with Health Department and DEQ, so things are going good up there on that end.
Very good.
That's a whole lot better than fighting.
Yeah.
Anything from us?
Not this week.
Not yet.
Next week, we get to see the
Next
exits.
week.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
With that being said, we're adjourned.